Good morning, world. Once again, this is another week in the Fifth Ward Wildcat. And whom am I sitting across from?
This is KG, and we are here doing another podcast, internationally renowned podcast of the KG and Fifth Ward Wildcat show. So let's get started with the scores.
All right, let's start out with the past weekend. Rice women's volleyball won their invitation of two. Women's soccer team went 2-4 this weekend, beating LSU on Friday night 1-0. Then on Sunday, it turned right around and beat Sam Houston State 4-1. The football team, as we know, lost to Texas 34-9 on the road. They will open up at home this weekend at 2:30 p.m. Against Purdue. They celebrate 100 years of football. U of H football gave UCLA a bad trip to Houston. U of H wins 38-34. Women's soccer team, they lost on last night to LSU 1-2. They play TSU this Friday.
What's the score?
1-2.
Oh man, come on! Don't be like folks don't know how to give scores. U of H lost 2-1.
2-1. Really? Is that what it is? Okay.
That's we're going to say 2-1.
2-1.
Winning score comes first.
All right then. Correction. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
A loss is a loss, whatever you want to say.
Now they are hoping for a better situation on Friday. They play Texas Southern at home. Both teams have not won a game this season, and they look to correct that. Just one of those two teams has to win.
One of those teams have to win, and that will be U of H.
St. Thomas women's volleyball went 4-2 in the Labor Day tournament. St. Jack women's volleyball beat Lon Morris in a season opener. Men's soccer team took it on the chin this weekend. They had out of town at Tyler. They tied first game. They had a tie against Cloud Community College, and they lost the second game to Barton Community College. HBU women's volleyball split in the Rice Invitation, and the women's soccer team went 2-0 over the past weekend on the road. And that are the scores for this past weekend, according to the Fifth Ward Wildcat.
But sir, you're not giving folks all the information. Where else can they find out more information about these teams? They
can all find out at the College Sports Report blog at www.askv.
Say it again. Say it again.
AKSV.blogspot.com.
And that AKSV stands for what?
A King Size View, the College Sports Reporter.
All right, sir, what's on your brain? You want to talk about this BS with Baylor right off the top?
Well, you know what? I don't. They basically stepped in and said, okay, we want our piece of cut. You know, we sit on to the side, and we want our piece of the pie. You have to pay us to move on.
In case, since this is Wednesday morning and folks have not heard, excuse me, the SEC presidents have voted to approve Texas A&M as the 13th member of the Southeastern Conference.
That was
a formality.
Yeah.
However, the Baylor University has apparently decided to test the waters and pull up their pants.
Not test the waters. They intend to step in and says, okay, I'm here.
Put their foot in the soup pot, whatever you want to call it, and
deep in,
and slow things down a bit. Let's see how we want to word this. The SEC presidents want assurances that no individual Big 12 school will sue for contractual interference over A&M's departure. Baylor has not given that assurance to this point.
Do you think it will?
Well, it depends on. Well, this is all hypocrisy, because years ago when the Southwest Conference was falling apart, I remember Baylor didn't step up and say all this stuff have indignance and end up crapping over U of H and Rice and SMU and TCU. So why they being all high and mighty now? So the hell with them.
Different administration and no help in the state legislature.
Well,
that's what it boils down to.
They see the writing on the wall that if Big 12 folds, then they're up the creek without a paddle. That's what it comes down to.
Well, they can be welcome over to
So to their credit, they're looking out for number one, but they were looking out, whatever. Karma, what goes around comes around. So Big 12 falls, Baylor will be looking to join a conference. If that's the Mountain West, Conference USA, or whatever, we'll see how things go. But it all leads up to one thing that I want to discuss is this super conference, 4 conference, 16 team nonsense that people seem to believe is going to be a boon to college football.
All right, now, do we start with the football side of it, or do we go straight to where the problems are going to occur concerning the other sports on campus?
Well, the reasons for the impetus for the mega conferences is football, and the football is the moneymaker. We all know that. However, the mega conferences are going to have a negative impact on the other sports.
Now, folks, this is what you got to pay attention to. Every bit of money that is made on the football side, because I've seen what the super conference and the travel schedules now look like when you got 16 teams in the conference. You have to pay out that money that you bring in from football to soccer, men's and women's basketball, to baseball. UVH's case, you got to pay out to softball also, track and field, and let's see what else. What other sports are on?
Swimming
and diving, and track and field would be your worst nightmare because of the equipment and all that is set aside now that they have to travel with, along with the team, and because the airlines have changed the travel policy as far as carry-ons or whatever, you're pretty much stuck out. So the money that you made, you now become one of the also ran because now you have no money in the budget, because you spend it all on the other sports, and you can't subtract sports like you used to. Not now. Title IX is there, and it's staring you dead in the face. So what do you do? Where do you go? And also, most of the big teams in the Big 12 in the North, they have wrestling programs,
right?
So that's another sport now you got to look out for. You got to find a place for them to go and play.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's cut to the chase. Our colleague and fellow SP Wall Street graduate Jerome Solomon of the Houston Chronicle wrote that
Solomon has something to say to that.
That he made a good point. Who have you heard in athletic department, coaches, media? Who have you heard that's in favor of these mega conferences? Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I've only heard one coach said to make a statement. Well, he made a comment of, as the world goes, the inevitable will happen.
That's Bob Tuce from Oklahoma. You can mention his name. That's fine. He said it.
And he's the only person that has mentioned it. But the other coaches that we speak to, at least that I speak to on the football side, have basically said, no coaches were involved in putting this together. And Sherman has, to his credit, he has a very difficult task from day one. When all of this came about, instead of folks going and asking the athletic director or the president, they just laid it all on his doorsteps, and he's trying to prepare for a season. You have to give him a lot of credit because he's under a lot of pressure right now, because the questions and all that he should not be concerned with in his press conference, he's having to answer to it on a regular basis. And I don't see anybody asking Mack Brown that same question.
That's because Mack Brown's football team is not expected to do very well, nor are they ranked in the top 10 like the Aggies are. But ironically, because the Longhorns are the crux of this whole dilemma, because the Longhorn Network, the deal that they signed with ESPN, is one of the reasons why the Aggies have decided to leave and will inevitably join the SEC. So, which leads us to, and I really don't want to talk about all this moving and shaking and conference shuffling and all this kind of stuff, but we have to do it.
Within a month and a half, it's going to affect what you and I do on a regular basis. That's basketball.
Right. But will the Longhorns go to the Pac-12, soon to be the Pac-16, like Oklahoma wants to?
That tells me that's what's going to happen, because they're the only one. That commission is the only one that has made a statement of finding a way to incorporate that network along with the conference.
Well, they're going to have to share the money.
Yeah. Now
will the Longhorns do that?
By him being the only one that has stepped up and says, okay, we're going to find a way to make this work.
You talking about Larry Scott at Pac-12 now?
Yeah.
He says they're gonna have to share the money. The Longhorns gonna have to. You know, it's not impossible, and there are out clauses or whatever you want to call them in the contract that the Longhorn Network has with ESPN, blah 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 blah, and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's a will, there's a way. If the Longhorns want to be a good partner,
relevant
they will do what's necessary. Relevant partner, they will do what's agreeable to the members of the Pac-12 and go along to get along. If not, then they have two other options. They can go independent,
which is what they're looking to do.
Or they can beg TCU to not join the Big East, come to the Big 12, and add U of H and BYU. And whoever else wouldn't be necessary to fill out and reform a Big 12.
Somebody mentioned Air Force
and Air Force and do that, you know. And Mark Cuban, a man who's made $1 or $2 in his time.
He made a couple of pennies.
He wrote on his blog post, and I linked to it on my commentary blog on HoustonRoundBallReview.com, that all this mega conference stuff doesn't mean the school's going to get more money. Does not mean the TV contract is going to increase based on the number of teams in a conference. The TV networks want quality matchups. Quality matchups go about 4 or 5 deep in each conference. More teams you add, you're going to water down the conference. And slice up the pie. 16 teams in a conference, that's 16 slices of the pie. So at some point, teams 9 through 16 will become irrelevant. And soon enough, when they become irrelevant, they'll be like, well, why are we still here? We're not getting a big enough piece of the pie. So what can we do to increase our slice of the pie? Which will inevitably what happen? They're going to want to leave and try to form their own thing. Which, sir, you know firsthand, 1995, the Western Athletic Conference had a 16-team league, and what happened?
It dissolved within the next season. They got it done during the conference tournament, and then made the announcement within a week to 10 days. That July, that conference formed, became an automatic qualifier for basketball. That's why we have 31 AQs now. Now you're talking about totally changing the structure of which where we're headed now, changing the structure of other athletic sports, other college sports down the road. Basketball will change because now you don't know where that other AQ will come in at, because now you got to form another conference. You got to change structures. And when you try to put because the two fellows that are sitting in this room have been at a mock selection, trying to put that board together when you've got all these teams in the same conference, which stipulates in the parameters they should not be.
We do our selection. The committee told us that we did it. They don't look at conference affiliation while they're putting the tournament bracket together. Even though everybody pretty much knows that Connecticut is in the Big East. You know, for example, when it comes to filling out a bracket, 9 teams. If a conference, if a team is good enough to get in the tournament, they'll be in a tournament regardless if it makes them 9 or 10 teams from the same conference. So that's what they tell us, and we saw that firsthand, and that is true. Whether folks want to believe it or not, that is how a bracket is put together based on the best teams available and the rules and procedures, as we hammered home over and over again, the procedures and all that kind of stuff. But the WAC fell apart because of geography. You had teams
regional rivalries. They felt that they were losing a connection, and in the process, they made a decision with the schools that are now in the Mountain West: Colorado State, New Mexico, Utah, BYU.
Because wasn't Rice in the WAC?
All the teams that were left out of the Big 12 fell into the WAC. That's basically what transpired. Because
wasn't TCU in the WAC?
Yes, and
they went to where? The Mountain West, and now they're moving on again.
Now, for whatever reason, it's interesting that they found a way to maximize that situation. And the only school out of the Southwest Conference that maximized that situation better than anyone else, including Arkansas. Because when they moved from a conference, that situation got better. Financially, academic-wise, athletic-wise, that brand got better. And now that's
for one sport.
Football.
that is a sport that's carrying the weight. Because men's basketball stinks. Now, and they're about to stink even more going to the Big East. Now, the bar has been raised a hell of a lot. They have to reach it.
But at the time when they made moves, it was more so of a administration move, because none of their programs were that relevant at that point. Gary Patterson hadn't arrived on campus to change things. But with that being said, they're the only school that I know that we all recognize that made a better move when they made a move.
Yeah, it's worked out for them so far. Yes, I'll give them credit.
But you said now they're moving into a conference that's a BCS automatic qualifier, and now the bar is set. They just lost this past weekend to Baylor in a very exciting game. We're going to find out what they have left, because that was a heartbreaker. You losing a game that late, you and I both know when football, when you lose that late, even if it's early in the season, you got to fight to get back into the game, because now these folks that vote, you and I haven't reached that point yet, but we will someday. They're looking at them on a weekly basis, and I don't know, because Boise now is relevant.
TCU has to rely on Baylor winning a lot more of their games throughout the season for their loss to Baylor to look good.
Well, that's true, because in 2001 when Nebraska made that run, and the schools that they beat, even though they were in irrelevant conferences, those teams had to continue to win.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's part of this. That's what happens when you don't have playoffs. You have to have opponents do well, all that kind of stuff. But yesterday I heard talk about all this conference shuffling. The Big East may take Kansas State or take Missouri. I heard even late last night about talk that the SEC was looking at West Virginia to become the 14th team. West Virginia. But anyhow, talk about the Big East going to 20 schools for basketball. And I think out of those 20, 12 of them maybe would be football schools. But 20 schools competing in basketball in one conference. That is not a conference. That's two 10-team conferences under one umbrella. 20 teams in one conference. You're not even going to play the other 10 teams on the other side. That's not a conference. That's what all this mega conference stuff is. It's for money. It's common sense is not being discussed or thought of in any of these discussions, because a 20-team conference.
Even in your best scenario, where you're still allowing the same amount of games to be played before postseason, the best you can do is 12 of 15 teams once around the conference.
12. I mean, personally,
because if you got a 20-team team,
anything more than 12 teams in 12 schools in a conference is too much for me. That's my opinion on it. I mean, I know the Big East in basketball is a beast. I know all that, but
that allows you to still play the majority of everybody at least twice.
I mean, you're going to play everybody in your division twice, and then the other side you'll play probably everybody once, and then depending on home and away kind of thing.
Folks, in a 16-team conference, you play everybody once every other year,
right?
Every 2 years,
right? And how is that good for rivalries? How is that good for building interest in the other teams in your quote-unquote conference, even though it's two conferences rolled under one umbrella? I mean, that's.
And all you're doing is, and let's just look at it for what it is. This is all risen up because Boise is still considered an outsider, but for whatever reason, they've proven themselves on the football field, and people don't want the little school.
And they'll still get screwed. They can go undefeated this season and still not have a chance in that championship.
And folks, this is being honest. The best I can see them finishing, running the table the rest of the way, is either 4th or 5th. And actually 5th, and not getting a shot at a viable. But
according to all they
won't finish there.
According to all the uppities, Division I football is great, perfect as it is, you know, and doesn't need a playoff, doesn't need an N1, you know. It doesn't matter if it seems like the boys can go undefeated and won't even get shot for the national championship. So to hell with it. If everything's perfect, screw them. Forget all that crap. I'm done talking about that BS. I'm done talking about the BS, the BCS, and all that. Let's talk about some more nonsense, some more rhetoric. The NBA lockout. How's that for a segue, people?
What are y'all doing? I'm going to ask you because I don't cover that group.
The NBA owners and players, well, the people of consequence, David Stern, Adam Silver, Peter Holt, owner of the Spurs, the big people, big time folks, meeting in small groups with Derek Fisher, president of the Players Association, Billy Hunter. They're meeting today in New York. The National Labor Relations Board is also meeting with both sides to basically explain where they are in the situation and to hear both sides of the case for lockout legalities. And I'm trying to make it as simple as possible without boring people to death while they listen to the podcast. But it's a big meeting. But today's the day of negotiation that both sides. Hopefully things will move further along. It's the second time in a week that they will have met or will meet to discuss a new collective bargaining agreement. Colleague, a gentleman I have not met yet, but I've read and known for quite a while through his reading, Chris Sheridan, started his own website, SheridanHoops.com, this week. Yesterday he wrote in his first post for the website that NBA lockout sides are closer than what you think. And he reasons and rationalizes a few things. The money is not far apart over a 10-year potential agreement, and the reasons for it almost convinced me that there will be a season on time this year. He explains his reasons for his thoughts and why he feels this way. His projected timeline. I'm just going to read you the projected timeline that he has with. October 1st, an agreement will be reached on the aggregate dollars. October 4th, all remaining issues are settled. October 5th through the 19th, the agreement will be put in writing. October 20th, free agency will open, and players already under contract are allowed to report to their teams. October 21st through 31st, training camps are held, and each team plays 2 exhibition games. November 1st, the season opens on time with 3 games. And we have 82-game schedule, 82-game season. To his credit, now I want to say this: he has been one of the few national writers from almost January of this year to believe that there will be a full 82-game 2011-2012 season. And so he has not changed. He'll be out in September. He's still sticking to that. And he's a connected writer. He worked for ESPN, worked for the Associated Press for years, so he's very connected in the NBA circles. Even on today's, as we talk in Wednesday's write-up, he has a exclusive on the site about potentially a third round add to the NBA draft and some reasons, things that may shake up the draft, where teams that don't make the playoffs will get 2 picks in the first round. Teams that do make the playoffs won't get picked till second round. So a lot of different ideas and proposals that he's heard from owners and he's heard from the players. So that's very interesting stuff. So hopefully I'll have a season to cover. A few more things. U of H women announced their basketball schedule Tuesday. HBU men announced their schedule on Monday, but officially came out because we had Labor Day, of course. And then I think the Rice men announced their schedule in basketball last week. So I do believe Rice and HBU play each other. Right. HBU men
have announced
their schedule. Right. Rice and HBU play each other this year. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the date for that is, let's see, Rice, and it's going to be at Sharp Gym. It's going to be November 30th. And I know the Owls also will host St. Thomas.
Yes.
And you know the head coach over there. He is who, sir?
It is Todd. What is that guy's name? Todd Smith.
Todd Smith. The St. Thomas Celts.
Yes.
Come to Tudor Fieldhouse on December 3rd. Coach Smith was assistant coach at Rice under Coach Willis Wilson, who is now the head coach at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, who also will come to the Fieldhouse
December
28th. So we will get a chance to see 2 of our buddies come to town and probably lose to the Owls. I know St. Thomas definitely will lose, and we'll see what Willis has with the Islanders as they come to town. But we'll tell him I have no problem calling, tell them to listen to the podcast. I'm predicting them to lose to the Owls on December 28th to Arsalan, Kazemi, and crew. So
that kid is good.
And if you haven't seen Arsalan play, listeners, you need to check him out this season. This is a junior year. I think we're all done with the talk about him going pro after going to the NBA after this season. I think he has the junior year and senior year at Rice. You need to come see him play. He's an excellent ball player. We're still waiting on word from the University of Houston men's program to announce their schedule. Still trying to finalize some details. Waiting on the Rice women's. Same thing with them. Announce their schedule.
And they got a kid that can play.
We'll talk more about her. Jessica Custer. She'll be a sophomore at Rice. So it's September. We're a month away, about 6 weeks away from start of basketball practice and basketball media day. Conference USA will be in Dallas in October 11th.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the date for the Big 12. That should be roughly a week after Conference USA in Kansas City. Wildcat and myself are planning, hopefully we'll attend both of those, and we'll have interviews posted on each of our websites, and we'll probably may even have a treat for the listeners as well during some of the podcasts as well. So keep listening to our podcasts. We go along to get along and strive to give you information and insight as only the two of us can provide. Because how long have we been doing this? How long have you been covering sports? I've thought about it. It's about combined more than about 30 years.
Yeah, at least.
At least. So, I'm younger than him. So he is a mentor of mine, but he's been doing this a long time, and I learned from him. Met this man we've come right South basketball, and we've been road dogs ever since.
When it was not us.
We were in the crow's nest, watching, looking down on the court, watching the Owls play, and watching the ladies kick butt and get their tournament, and the fellas do what they do and not get the tournament with all that talent. But
yeah. Yes.
Let's see. Is there anything you want to wrap up in closing here? I think we've covered a lot of different topics. What do you want to say in conclusion?
In conclusion, folks, get out and support your local athletic program, college programs this weekend. Oh, by the way, at least I forget, today is the belated.
We need to talk about this. Yeah, let's talk about this real quick.
That's right. Belated, is that the word for it? Belated Labor Day Classic between Texas Southern and Prairie View.
Today is their luncheon. Yes, on Wednesday afternoon will be the luncheon. Mm-hmm.
Saturday at
7 o'clock at Delmar.
Delmar Fieldhouse, Delmar Stadium. Folks, come out and watch them play. They need some support this weekend. It's TSU's home opener, but Prairie View. Come out and watch Texas Southern.
The bands are defense.
The bands are a treat.
Probably wreak havoc on Prairie View based on what the Panthers displayed Sunday afternoon on ESPN on national television in the MEAC SWAC Talent versus Bethune-Cookman as they got rolled and embarrassed, folks, 6-3 to 14.
At some point, you should, as they say, man up. You should just pull it up and just says, okay. We down 42 tonight. We got nothing else to look. Let's just go just kick some butt.
Hopefully, Sunday's loss will be rock bottom for Coach Northern and the Panthers this season, because it was bad. But there wasn't a conference game, so look at it like that. It was out of conference and move on. It's time for Don't embarrass themselves. They embarrass themselves, the school, and the conference.
You went to an area that you used to recruit on a regular basis. I mean, black college football, was a big thing for them to not just have FAMU and Bethune-Cookman go and play for Florida. Come to Texas Southern, come and play in the SWAC. That was a big thing back in the day. But you just went to an area that you had a name, and now your name is mud. Because you got to find yourself now.
Oh, we'll see how the squad responds to getting their behinds kicked. This Saturday, the 10th at Delmar versus Texas Southern, and TSU's finished second behind Grambling in the division of the Western Division of the SWAC. So TSU, they may have less scholarships and less depth, but their starting units on offense and defense, especially defense, is going to cause a lot of folks problems. And first up for the Tigers is Prairie View, and I expect TSU to win the game based on their defense. That defense probably going to force PV to commit some turnovers, shorten fields. TSU will win that way. I just hope it's going to be a good crowd. I hope it's sold out. What Del Mar seats, 12,000, maybe something like that. Maybe
12 to 15. Yeah.
Hopefully it's sold out or close to it. My Cougars go on the road to play North Texas, 6 o'clock.
Brand new stadium. Some mobile app company, phone company.
They're not putting money in our pockets. We're not going to mention them. It's a new stadium. North Texas is another bump on the road.
I've got a home opener. U of H is going on the road now, and folks, let me tell you something. It's a show now. They can do a lot of things.
The offense, did well against UCLA.
And now let's just say it. Case got his legs up under him. He got knocked around this weekend early on. He got a feel. Now they'll settle down. They got a week under their blood. Folks, come watch the Cougars play. Come watch the Cougars play.
You say you want the Cougars? You expect the Cougars to drive up there to Denton to go see the Cougars play North Texas?
You know what? Okay. Let's go with that. You had just only 31,000 announced, and every time you and the cohort next to me that was in the press box, people looking around, and I'm like, see that? I'm talking about empty spaces.
Right.
At a home game, a home opener, you should not have an empty space. When you want to move to a new conference, folks want to know you're relevant. And I tell you, money is it. Don't be.
Perhaps they were outside tailgating during the game.
I don't give a crap.
So are you talking bad about my program, sir? Because there weren't actual butts in the seats?
That's right.
That has been that way for years? Are you expecting a miracle overnight?
Somebody changed that.
I'm glad that they had announced 31,000. Small steps. Yes, the place wasn't sold out. Anybody with eyes could see that the place wasn't sold out with actual butts in the seats. But small steps. We Cougars have a long way to go.
Excuses.
No excuses. They have a long way to go. They need to realize that. They need to do something to take those steps to get better. and it starts this year winning Conference USA.
Okay, now, someone mentioned something in the press box the other day that our new stadium is duly needed, but it was mentioned that they shouldn't be irrelevant what facilities are concerned. Both facilities need to be redone. Hawfine has been around a while, forever and a day. Robinson is older than I am, and I'm getting closer to 60 than I am to 50. And folks, you got to get that. Something's got to happen before the season is over with. An announcement should be made.
I agree.
I think at homecoming, announcements should be made either at halftime or during one of those long extended timeouts that we will be playing as the AD or the president should be saying, we University of Houston Cougars, and I'm wrapping up here because we've got a luncheon to go to, and my stomach is talking to me now, but that should be an announcement at homecoming that the stadium will be started on as soon as the season is over with, and you all will be playing at Reliant until everything gets finished. I feel like that statement should be made.
I agree. Renovated football stadium, renovated Hawfines, all those things go in line with the buildings that are being constructed all around campus. University of Houston has got construction, parking garage going up, new buildings for education. The different departments are going up all over the campus. So, in line with that, to go along with that, the stadium needs to be made regarding the stadium. I want to see, if you want to call it a new football stadium, or technically remodeled, whatever. I want to see it before I can no longer see. Okay, so I have corrective glasses to see right now. So before my vision is gone in 20 years, whatever, I want to see a new stadium.
Yeah, because you're quite younger than I am.
So that's my point. Exactly. We've been talking about breaking ground for a year and some change. Now, hopefully, with the shovels in the ground at the end of this season, end of the school year, spring 2012, and get that done, because that would be just to see a shovel go in the ground toward a new stadium would just be a tremendous boost and a shot in the arm for all University of Houston alums, and but then to see it finally done would just be the icing on the cake. So hopefully that will get done 2013 or so, and we can really talk about where we are as a program and truly be a Tier 1 university academically and then athletically as well. Where can people find you, sir?
You can find me at www.kingsizeview.com online. The edition is out. Go and check us out. My blog is www.aksvcsr.blogspot.com. Twitter. Hashtag AKSVCSR.
And I am KG of the Houston Roundball Review. Website is HoustonRoundballReview.com. You can listen for our podcast on iTunes, also on YouTube. I have a Houston Roundball Review fan page on Facebook. My hashtag on Twitter is THEHR Review. So a lot of different ways for us to interact with you and vice versa. Thank you once again for listening. Tell a friend to listen as well. The more the merrier. And wrap it up in conclusion. Be true. Be cool. And do more.